Good Wednesday afternoon. First Alert Meteorologist Diane Phillips checking in as our snow is starting to move in. This special live stream for our First Alert Weather Day. We're going to wait just a few moments here to let some folks join us. I know that we have our push alerts, making sure that everybody who wants to join us is going to be coming into our stream. So we'll give it a few moments here for everybody to check in. And of course, we are going to be streaming here at WNEM.com. We're also going to be on our socials. You can also check us out on YouTube as well, and maybe you're even joining us from Roku or Fire Stick. Even if you have those, make sure you have your TV5 app, because then you can always follow us right there on your television. So we today are going to be talking about our snow chances, the First Alert Weather Day details, the timing. We'll even take a live look at some of our cameras on what we're going to be finding already through mid-Michigan. So we will have the chance to kind of see already the storm coming in and yet what is to come. So again, we're going to wait here just a few more seconds to let everybody to join in. And then we will be talking about the snowfall. Now, we have seen some snows frequently already this season, but this one is actually going to have the potential to be a little bit more than what we've seen already. So now that I can see kind of here on our server that we got a lot of people joining us, thank you for joining us, of course. Let's get started with some of that info. Already, even around lunchtime, we saw that our radar was turning blue. So we do have some snow that is starting to come in. So a lot of the snow that we do have coming out towards the thumb potentially is still working with a little bit of that drier air. We will kind of take a tour of our webcams here in a second, but we are finding that we have some flurries in Saginaw. We've been seeing some snow in Mount Pleasant for about 2 hours now, so it has been a little bit lighter at the onset. You'll also see that we have that blue showing up in Chesney, Owasso, Flint. So the snow, it's starting to move in right on time. So this is when you need to be watching for your roadways. Here is a live look in downtown Mount Pleasant. So this is at CMU's campus, and you can see that we can have some visibilities out there, but we are going to find the snow maybe has picked up a little bit. The pavement is still looking good. I can kind of see that sidewalk fairly well. So we appreciate kind of that look there, that hopefully our roadways can kind of hold on for a little bit longer, but they are going to start to get tricky as we get close towards that evening commute. Let's take a live look here in downtown Saginaw, where we don't have nearly the snow coverage. You'll find our roadways here are looking just fine. And let's also take a check along US 10. We'll kind of go on a tour here through mid-Michigan. It looks a little hazy out in the distance, and I do see some snowflakes coming across our camera here. Also the winds, we're going to find those out of the northeast today, and they'll be a little bit breezy. Those flags kind of fully extended out, so that's going to be something that we're watching for a little bit of lake enhancement, because that is going to be something that is going to influence our snow totals. Let's head down to the Vehicle City, where we do have along 75. I don't see any snowflakes here, so thankfully drivers are not having any issues getting to doctor's appointments here this afternoon, but we will find that potentially towards the evening commute that these speeds are going a little bit slower. At times, I think I do see a stray snowflake, and that's exactly kind of what I'm seeing. If you look at those pine trees there, you will catch a couple of snowflakes. So update, now we are seeing some light, very light snow here in Genesee County. Let's head a little bit further north towards Houghton Lake and see what looks we have here. Again, it's kind of nice to have a lot of our cameras to see what we are working with. It looks like those visibilities, kind of using the ice shanties to see how far we can look across the water. So it does look a little bit hazy out behind the ice shanties. At least we can see them. So that is good news that we can get a good look there. And we'll also take a check here in Birch Run for folks traveling on 75. If we got some snow that's coming down here in Genesee County, that means that we are going to start to see here in the southern portion of Saginaw County some of those flurries. The camera is shaking a little bit because of the wind, but I'm not picking up on too many of those snowflakes yet. And also, I do want to check in downtown Flint, because we are going to want folks, as the snow starts to come in, to move those parked cars. It makes it a little bit easier for them to get cleaned up. I know there's not a lot of parking, but make sure you head to WNEM.com. We do have an update there on what the parking rules are, so we can get the storm cleaned up. So let's also continue talking about roadways, what we are anticipating. So here this afternoon, we've been in pretty good shape. We are going to find that our roads, green light, we like that. But once now that we're into that 1 to 5 p.m. zone, our roadways are going to slowly become a little bit slippery as they become snow covered. It's just going to be a little bit tricky. You may need some extra room for braking in front of the car ahead of you, and you may not be able to turn as fast as what you normally are. gassing it around a corner. So make sure that you are being mindful. Of course, that is going to be right in our after school time frame. And we're also going to find that leads us right into the evening commute. So as that evening commute gets started, we are going to flip over to the red light because we do anticipate seeing some of those travel impacts. And the reason why we are going to anticipate some of those travel impacts is because our snowfall rates. Right now, snowfall rates, we're not really adding up. We're not cranking out a lot of snow. We're seeing those about 1/10 of an inch per hour here for the 2, 3, and even 4 o'clock hours. But around 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock is really when we pick up on more of that heavier and kind of steadier snow. So we will find our snowfall rates to be around 3/4 of an inch an hour. So that's very much manageable for road crews, but you will find that it's still going to allow us to stack up that snow pretty quick in a short window of time. And then as we go around bedtime, 9, 10 o'clock, that allows us to kind of be back down to that 1/2 inch mark. So that's going to be a little bit easier yet for road crews who are working on cleaning up our roadways. Now we do have our updates as far as our winter weather advisories and our winter storm warnings. Now we do have those warnings here for Iosco, Ogama, Aranac, and Gladwin counties, and then across the thumb, including Huron, Tuscola, Sanilac, and Lapeer counties. That warning is going to last through tomorrow morning. And the reason why they opted for the warning in those areas is because of, one, the amount of snow, but the duration of the time. So we have to take into consideration how long are we going to have this snow window for us to have the snow falling down in. So that's why that criteria is a little bit different here through mid-Michigan. Now into the Tri-Cities, including Flint, and then coming in towards Gratiot, Isabella, Clare, and even Roscommon counties, we do have the winter weather advisory. So that's going to be that purple color here on the map. We do have a full breakdown on your First Alert weather app, and also if you go to WNEM.com, at the top you'll find our weather alerts, and you'll be able to get the full readout from the National Weather Service, because those are the folks who do issue these warnings and advisories. So let's go into the hour-by-hour forecast. We already see the snow. That blue is showing up on our radar, so that's going to continue to push through. And in the next hour or so, we'll really start to see that blue fill in and to be more widespread here. At this point, still those snowfall rates not necessarily at their peak, but we will start to see maybe some darker blues showing up on our radar. So really watch where those pockets are, because that's when we can pick up some of those faster accumulations. You will find by 5 o'clock you can kind of see a streak of dark blue stretching from Bad Axe towards Chesaning into Owasso. So these pockets of some heavier snowfall, we're anticipating seeing those around the Tri-Cities and then further south towards Flint and then coming across the thumb. So these are going to be some locations, and that'll also align with our snowfall map that we could be seeing some of those higher totals. Now, this is also at 5 o'clock. This is when we're doing the evening commute. So this is when we're starting to see the heavy snow and we're trying to get home. So make sure you have some patience to get home. We are going to continue, even for your dinner plans, to have the widespread snow and those heavier snowfall rates. But around bedtime, we're at least kind of through the bulk of this system. We still have some good coverage here, but you will find around midnight, we start to see some holes. So we're finally getting to the backside of the storm, and then it is going to move out during the middle of the night. Well, actually, see, I'm going to pull it back here in time just so you can kind of see that that storm's going to exit around 3, 4 o'clock. And with it kind of getting maybe an hour or so jump, we might be able to get it close to 2 a.m. for it leaving. Of course, the further west you are, that's when you're going to clear out. But of course, we always kind of have to work with those varying times here through mid-Michigan. But you can see here at 6, 7 o'clock, if that's when you're going to be hitting the roadways tomorrow morning, that is not a time frame for snow. We're going to be cleaning up at that point. So that is when we're going to still find our roadways to be slippery. The overnight snow, road crews are going to be working overnight, but it may not be as easy to travel through as you would like it to be. So let's talk about snow totals. We have not made many changes to this map today, so we're glad that the forecast has become a little bit consistent in the data. We do have in that dark blue color our 4 to 8 zone, so that's going to be locations like Alma, Midland, Clare, Houghton Lake, all of Ogama County, West Branch. You're going to find, though, that as we go into Iosco County, there's definitely going to be a little variation. On the western side of the county, we're in that 4 to 8 zone. On the eastern side of the county, we're kind of in that 5 to 9 zone. And I know these ranges are really close, but when we get those measurements in, we want to make sure that we are accounting for when we get that 4.5 inch reading or that 8.5 inch reading, and making sure that you still fall within those ranges. Now in the purple, that's going to extend from Oscoda to Whittemore into Standish, coming around the north side of the bay into the Tri-Cities, though only including Bay City and Saginaw. And then we'll see that into the southern portion of Gratiot County, coming here into Flint and then back up into the thumb. So that's going to be that dark blue, or excuse me, dark purple, where we have that 5 to 9 zone. Now we did add, because over the weekend we had some snow, and even this morning we had some snow for some of our lakeshore communities, and we have been noticing some enhancements off of the water. So that is where that pink, we have locally higher lakeshore totals to be possible. So this is where we could see some readings that are just a little bit beyond the 8 or 9 inch mark, and we're really going to be watching bullseyes like Oscoda and then eastern Sanilac County. I've really been picking up on a signal there that those locations could be seeing kind of some thumps of snow come through to really allow those totals to add up. So we will cover this again, but that's going to get us through Thursday morning. Now, mainly the impacts, thankfully, we're just working with snow. We don't have to worry about ice in this system. We will find that wind is also going to be something to really watch for some of those lake enhancements, as the northeast winds will be gusting around 25 miles per hour at their peak. But we will find that some blowing and drifting snow still can be possible, especially in our rural areas. So as you clean up, just know you may run into some of those spots on some of those back roads that just can't stay open. Now, again, ice is not going to really be an issue. Travel is going to be the main impact that a lot of us are going to have to work with. So it is going to be some slow going travel here tonight and into tomorrow morning. Just some of the impacts. Thankfully, we shouldn't have too many of them, but accumulating snowfall, of course, can always throw off your routine. So we will be finding that you have slow travel as early as this evening. Another thing is you maybe haven't used your snowblower that much, so now or after you're joining our live stream here, you'll want to go get some gas, some oil for your snowblower. Make sure that you're ready to clean up the snow. And of course, we are going to have maybe a little more than you want to shovel. But if you're going to be out there shoveling or snow blowing, tomorrow morning around 9 a.m., if you're going to get at it at that time, you'll find 21 degrees for that air temperature. And we'll be holding into the 20s as we go throughout the day. So you're going to want to have hats, gloves, coats on to make sure you get that driveway and sidewalk cleaned up. Wind chills also something to keep in mind into the morning and evening. If you're going to be cleaning up snow before or after work, you're going to find wind chills are into the single digits and then just hovering into the lower teens by the afternoon. So it's just going to be breezy enough that it is going to be fairly chilly for us. And I do also want to mention going into the afternoon that we will tomorrow have a little bit of lake effect snow that is going to be coming in. So as you clean up the driveway in the morning, just know that you may have just a light accumulation that we need to pick up on Thursday afternoon just because of the lake effect. So that is what we're going to be watching for. That is separate from the system, and that's going to be separate from our snow total maps. So let's do another update here on radar, see how that coverage is doing, and you're going to find that we do continue to see a lot of that purple starting to fill in. So in the next hour, we should have some pretty good coverage. As I am checking our sensors, the airport in Bad Axe is not saying that any snowfall is reaching the ground just yet. I know I did see some snowflakes in Saginaw on some of our cameras, so we are seeing that. Even in Midland, the sensor is saying that we have some snow coming down, Mount Pleasant. So we are continuing to see some of those flurries. Pretty light coverage here in Genesee County. We're just very lucky to see that on some of our cameras. And our Houghton Lake sensor is also saying that we are seeing snow, and same for Oscoda. So the coverage, it's starting to fill in, and we're going to continue then once that snow arrives to just track blue on our radar. We'll take you through the hour by hour again, just because in the next few hours, I know a lot will be headed out of the house. So we will find that widespread coverage here taking over in the next hour or so. Once we get around 5, 6 o'clock is when we will start to see some of the heavier and steadier snow. So if you have dinner plans, you may want to just think about cooking at home, because then you don't have to drive in the snow. And that's when we're going to be seeing our more steady snow. So that's really when our roads are going to quickly start to deteriorate and become pretty slick. Then as we go around 9 o'clock, that's still going to be some fairly steady snowfall. It's not really that broken. It isn't until midnight that we start to at least poke a few holes in the coverage, but this is as we're at least nearing the end of the storm, but we will still have a few hours, as the system isn't going to start to exit until around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Then we will see that exit at that time frame into the thumb. So that's when it does leave mid-Michigan. And then into the morning, 6, 7 o'clock, as you're doing the commute, we don't have any fresh snow coming down. So that will be helpful, that you don't have to navigate anything new getting out the door, but we still will be cleaning up. And of course, we do anticipate seeing the potential for some school delays and closures. We already have had some roll in. for this evening if you have some plans. So make sure you head to WNEM.com. You are going to find that even Bad Axe Public Schools, they did let us know that they're going to be closing early at 2 p.m. So they're actually doing their dismissal right now. We're also finding Bridgeport. Some of the libraries, not only are the schools affected, but some of the libraries are also saying, hey, we're going to be closing early. So make sure that you are kind of checking in if you are still going to try to get out with a lot of these places, because some closures are to be possible. Another check of that snowfall map, we are going to find that we still have that 4 to 8 zone here. That's going to be that navy blue color. So that's kind of the northwestern portion of mid-Michigan. And then that purple is going to be that 5 to 9 zone. So that's going to include coming around Saginaw Bay into half of the Tri-Cities, and then here into Flint, and then coming across the thumb. Again, that pink, that's going to be some locally higher lakeshore totals that we're watching for, because we do still have some open water to where we can get some lake enhancements coming. So that could mean that we could have some snow bands setting up, and that can just allow for a few more of those dynamics to get clicking to produce a little bit more snowfall. Now, we will find that our main impacts are going to be our roadways and driving. So as we go throughout this afternoon, we will find conditions to become a little bit slippery. So slow travel going to be possible this evening, and plan on needing to clean this one up. Sidewalks, driveways are going to be snow covered. So as you're cleaning those up tomorrow, make sure you're just bundled up. We are going to find that air temperatures will be into the 20s, and wind chills are going to be into the single digits and teens. So very much a February forecast. I do want to go and kind of take us through another tour of our cameras before we let you go. And I am seeing a couple of flurries here in downtown Flint. So that is kind of right on time here, going into 2 o'clock for us to be seeing that. I wasn't able to catch any flurries here in Birch Run, but we might be able to at least spot a few. It'd be pretty light at this point, and thankfully with the lighter start, that hopefully can get us into that evening commute. But again, it's going to get steady. It's going to start to fill in a little bit better. And as I had mentioned, our sensor in Houghton Lake is saying that we have that snowfall coming through. So you can kind of see it's not really a crystal clear look across the icy waters. We are going to see the ice shanties still in the distance, but it's definitely going to be a little more of a winter look outside. I do also want to check back in on I-75 here in Genesee County, where it looks like we just have a few snowflakes. I'm kind of using the pine trees there in the bottom screen to just see some of those flakes that are coming through. So it's really kind of hard to tell that it is snowing here in Genesee County, but it is. So that means that our roadways are just going to continue to kind of be needing some monitoring. And even as we check along US 10, a lot of folks are driving at posted speeds. You will find those winds, kind of those flags are picking up on some speed. And I just saw a couple of snowflakes. So it is pretty light here at the onset, where one of the locations where we have been seeing some steadier snowfall has been in Mount Pleasant, but we've been cranking out snow here for about 2 hours now. Yeah, look at this. We got some snow tires and some tire tracks in the roadways. You can see folks driving a little bit slower here in downtown. And even the side street there, maybe not so busy. So that is going to be potentially a little bit slick. So as you're braking and trying to slow down, make sure you give yourself plenty of stopping room. You're also going to want to give yourself some slower speeds to get around corners. You're not going to be able to turn as quickly as you used to, but you will find that once it becomes a little bit more steady, again, this is just 2 hours and we're already seeing snow covered roads in Mount Pleasant, and we haven't even reached maybe even our heaviest of snowfall yet. So we are going to be having that really pick up here in the next little bit, and we'll final check here of Saginaw. This is one of our last cameras that we have. A different look, not as many flurries coming down here in downtown Saginaw. So we are going to find that we are waiting for that snowfall to come in. Of course, you can check radar just like what we have here in your First Alert weather app. So that is going to be in the bottom right hand corner. We also have updates coming up. And also, if you need that list of closures and delays, that's going to be at WNEM.com. We'll also have a source to that coming up on the First Alert weather app. So make sure you give that a download. That's going to be a pretty helpful tool. Let's see here if we can get oh, it doesn't look like I have my QR code ready for you, but of course, make sure you head to our website, and also you can do that on the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store. You can kind of get that latest information. But as we wrap up here, again, make sure you're checking in with your First Alert weather team on the app. We'll also have coverage starting at 4 o'clock, and we'll continue that through the 6 o'clock hour. And also First Alert Chief Meteorologist, he's going to be back here on our live stream platforms starting at 7 o'clock. So at that point, we're going to kind of be through some of the more steady snow. So we'll have an update on what conditions look like outside and what you can expect overnight. So we thank you for joining us. Stay safe out there, and make sure you stay updated with TV5.